I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Russian Federation would like to put to a vote the politicized draft introduced by Ukraine. We will, of course, vote against, and we call on all sensible delegations to do the same thing. For the third year in a row, the General Assembly has to be distracted by this spectacle organized by the Ukrainian delegation, simply to pour forth more lies about what is taking place in the Crimea and introducing divisions within the General Assembly. Kiev cannot accept that the inhabitants of the Crimea decided on their own future in 2014 during the referendum, as a result of which Crimea and Sebastopol first became independent and then joined the Russian Federation. That way, the population of the peninsula realized the right for self-determination enshrined in the UN Charter. The Kiev authorities who pushed away the Crimeas from themselves and were full of hatred can only pour that into this resolution, the kind of resolutions that we're seeing today. As in the past, there were no consultations on the text of the document. We understand the fact that our Ukrainian authorities don't want to do this. It would be a shame to discuss such a document full of lies. So instead of discussions, the member states of the UN are told that by their vote they should vote for the territorial integrity of the Ukraine. Many continue to believe in this false proposal. After the Maidan coup d'etat, in fact, it was the Crimean people who themselves decided on their future, as was clearly expressed during the ARIA meeting of this year. We published a document in the Security Council. I suggest you look at it. Obviously, our Ukrainian colleagues preferred not to engage in dialogue with the Crimeans. They are not interested in seeing objective information. This is precisely why they battle against information that appears in the social media. The Ukrainians don't want to recognize that if anyone occupied the Crimea, it was the Crimeans themselves, and you can't occupy your own house. We, just as everyone else, feel compassion for the Ukrainians. The draft that is introduced today is simply insanity. It's not about the Crimea, but rather about the progressive deterioration of Ukraine, which is becoming more and more an anti-Russia. Its only policy is to blame Russia for all its problems. The Ukrainian authorities are using this to distract their own inhabitants from the current situation in Ukraine. Several years after the so-called European choice, for the time being, this tactic seems to be working, especially for the puppet masters in the West. So this draft only supports the illusion that, or a vote for this draft resolution would only support the illusion that the policy of this failed state is supported by the rest of the world. Of course, if it's adopted, the authorities will claim that this is support from the international community. Today's vote will have no impact on the decision of the Crimeans. It will simply confirm how right their decision was in 2014. Thank you. The speaker read his text at top speed. It was not given to the interpreters and almost impossible to interpret. Thank you.
Distinguished representative of the Russian Federation.